mean, from steel to NBFC or housing finance company, if there is interest, is it the entire stressed asset space, or are both these one-off cases? Let's ask two absolute experts in the field, R.K. Bansal, Managing Director, Edelweiss ARC, formerly the big man from IDBI Bank, and Srini Srinivasan, Managing Director, Kotak Investment Advisors. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you very much indeed for joining us. Srini, let me start with you. Is the market better for stressed assets?
Well, the market has always been good, Lata. I think the influx of news that you're referring to is a culmination of work that's been going on for the last probably 6 to 9 months' time. And I think I just want to correct you here. You said that the race was started by Adani, though that's not true. Okay. Adani actually joined the race after the race was over. And that is actually a bone to pick for a lot of international investors.
Yes.
But having said that, there is a tremendous level of interest. It's always been the case. It's just that the decision making with regard to disposition of these assets have been very, very awry. And we need to really fix the process and sanctity of the process to really get rid of all the NPAs that we have. If we go through the mechanism through which we are currently going through, whether it is NCLT process or outside the NCLT, we're not going to get rid of the NPAs for the next 10 years.
Well, I have a lot of bone to pick on the process, but every time the government seems to be getting it in order, there is always one judgment or the other which goes awry. I mean, look at Binani Cement. When it was H1 bidder for everybody, we still went out and, allowed some bidders to better the previous bids. So, the legal process has to settle down. I take your point. But still, look at the appetite. I mean, who would have expected that there will be this kind of one-upmanship for DHFL's assets 1 year ago when it was very clear that it will go to NCLT? Mr. Bansal, your thoughts. Has the asset itself become more attractive simply because the economy is on the go and interest rates are falling?
I would agree with Srini. The stress asset market was always in place. There was always a demand. But before IBC, actually, there were not many ways how you could buy these assets, actually. So what has changed is, to some extent, IBC has allowed and people have realized that there can be buyers. But let's just come back to this case. This case is not only a pure stress asset scenario, what we talk of stress asset. This is a company actually. And it has 3 components. So, and today if you really ask me, the company, because of the delay, the company is carrying 10,000 crore cash. So naturally the interest is there because you already have 10,000 crore in the company. So when you are buying or when you are giving an offer, after all there is a 90,000 crore liability and the offers are in the range of, let's say, whatever, 35,000. So you are getting a good discount. It's a retail book, and retail is a story of, I mean, today everyone is looking at retail portfolio. At least 1/3 is retail portfolio. So the interest is more in that. So the market is there, and the market will always be there actually for good assets. So we can discuss who are the investors, whether it's a strategic, financier or the lender. So, but the market will be there for good assets. So even in IBC, what you mentioned, I mean, 5-6 big cases have always attracted good interest, but not otherwise, not many. So the market is there for good assets, no doubt.
Yeah, even I thought that once SR Steel gets done, that is an indication that a big asset can go through IBC. But many of these are not going through IBC. The DHFL case is not necessarily an IBC case.
DHFL is very much under IBC.
Okay, second round IBC. Okay, take your point. But Srini, is this a secular trend in the sense, stressed assets from abroad were initially, kind of first timers. Now they've gotten more used to the scenario in India. Also, banks have written off most of their bad assets and therefore now are perhaps in the front foot in terms of willing to take haircuts. So do you think we have a long-term story here in stressed asset sale?
So we do have a long-term story here. And I think the fact that there is, the world is awash with liquidity and valuations in most markets have actually gone up. Risk appetite has actually come back. And I think, to be fair, we have managed our COVID situation reasonably well. So I think the outlook for India looks better, as some of your surveys have also shown recently. So I think people are willing to take that risk call, and investors have been sort of waiting and watching, and they are actually waiting for the assets to be put out in a manner which is open, transparent, and quick. The challenge, and it can become a secular trend if we are able to get the first two in order, which is put it out in a transparent manner and put it out with a specific time bound. Unfortunately, even the IBC process, which started off with a lot of promise, has not lived up to it. For example, in one of the cases, we have been, the COC has already declared us as winner, and they declared us as winner 5 months ago. We have not got the NCLT order, and therefore we cannot take the assets into control right now. There's another case where pre-IBC, we have made an offer for nearly 800 crores as a one-time settlement. And that offer was accepted by the consortium leader 9 months ago. Now the whole offer is going through the various board processes in all these PSU banks, which are a consortium, and we still haven't got a final NOC from all the banks. If this is the way we are going to clear up our NPA, we are going to take forever to do it. So we got to fix the problem. The bankers know what to do. They know the price at which to do. I think it is the post facto, fear of witch hunting that they are worried about. And the government has to correct that. They have to give the confidence to the bankers that when they run through an open, transparent process through a price discovery mechanism, that decision will not be opened up on a post facto basis, and witch hunting should not start.
Okay, that's a very, very important point actually. We've spoken about this fear of witch hunting for a long time now. Mr. Bansal, I wanted your thoughts here because A, what should the government or the RBI do or what should they implement to fasten the process? And B, we talked about the resolution of corporate stressed assets where there is demand. Do you see demand in retail stressed assets as well? Because that seems to be a bit of a pressure point too.
So I think coming to your first question, we have been, discussing this issue. So what government and maybe to some extent regulators, they should do is one, to some extent remove this fear. But if you really see, the fear also comes because sometimes the process is tweaked in a different way. So 2-3 things we should do, I feel. One, we should give an assurance to the bankers that at least through this process or through transparent process, if you're auctioning the assets, I don't think there will be not be any witch hunting. The second issue is, I think the process under IBC or outside IBC should be transparent, and judiciary should also support it, I feel. And we should not allow the process to be tweaked every time in cases. So that will give a good comfort to the investors or the buyers of these assets. Coming to your second point on the retail side, see, basically in the stress asset, you have what type of investors? One is your strategic investor. The second could be your financial, which is by way of funds, stress asset funds. And third could be the lenders actually. Now, in retail asset space, we have been seeing good interest now because it is considered that retail assets NPA will also grow up, and there will be capability and skill sets, in fact, in the system, which will be required to some extent, and we are also looking at this. So retail asset space, we feel that if you really see the stock in the wholesale book is, most of the assets are known in the system and many of them have got resolved. Retail stress is building up now. So there are NPAs in the unsecured book, there are NPAs in commercial vehicles, in housing loan, etc. In future, the retail asset space will grow up.
Okay. Well, Mr. Bansal, if you can wear your banker's hat yet again and tell me whether largely public sector banks, though not only public sector banks, are likely to see some good times. Last week we had the PNB managing director, and he is expecting a recovery of 13,000 crores this year. Of course, there's one chunky asset like Bhushan Power, but more generally, recovery is good. So, do you think there is a good time ahead, a year or two, for these large lenders like public sector banks, because they've written off most of the bad assets and recovery appears to be picking up?
I agree with you. Recovery is picking up, but then when SR Steel was getting resolved, people talked of big figures. So even Bhushan Power and Steel, because there is one big account.
Yeah.
If you really see, the good times are coming not because recoveries are going up except 1 or 2 large cases. It is mainly because banks have already made 100% provision. because finally these are all cases of 2015 or before that. So you already made 100% provision, so the recovery goes to your profit. Otherwise, from the normal system, lending is not much today. So the good point is that recovery, whatever comes today, perhaps is coming from the old NPS, and that will straightway go to your profit. And you already made provisioning, so it's because you have made provisioning coverage is almost 80 to 90% if I add return of cases. So that goes to profit. That is a good point, certainly.
Fair point. Srini, I just wanted your thoughts, if you could wear your hat of an investment advisor. And from a corporate standpoint, interest rates are low. The government has announced a slew of production-linked incentive schemes. A lot of the cement companies have announced capex as well. So does it make more sense in terms of a greenfield expansion, a brownfield expansion, or actually buying stressed assets? Where do the scales lie?
Well, I think if you look at the market, there are 2 or 3 scenarios. One is, as you mentioned, initially I think most companies will spend capex on brownfield expansion so that, and they watch how the capacity utilization grows. This would be, debottlenecking and other stuff that they will do. I think greenfield will potentially happen only in sectors where the government has really given specific incentives, whether it is electronics manufacturing, chemicals, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and those sectors where the production linked incentive scheme is there. And so we do expect that to have some impact with regard to capex spending. And from a stressed asset point of view, the latter, which is the production linked incentive, is really not going to be a target market for us. But on the commodity side, which are companies which may have been in distress, certainly are interesting to us. And that's a space that we believe that if we have to get out of the troubles that we have as an economy, there is no choice but to spend on infrastructure, spend on capital goods, and the government has to obviously front load the spending. All of that is going to have a positive impact. I think earlier in the show, somebody was talking about the commodity cycle being positive. The fact that JSW now wants to accelerate the acquisition of
Yes.
that the commodity cycle is really coming back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant, that when the economy is turning, stressed assets perhaps have a better chance. I have to speed up this Q&A because I do want some more answers from you, but the time is short. Srini, if you can tell me whether, specifically what do you want changed in terms of laws?
Number one, if there is a defined process, this question of somebody coming in after the deadline should be completely done away with. This is just
one bid, highest bidder.
One bid, highest bidder, and be done with it. Because this is, anybody coming in after the bid date is totally foul.
Okay. I don't know which law has to be amended for it, but still, I take your point. Yes.
And we are in the courts, in the Supreme Court, in one case where we were the,
I agree with you. No, I agree with you. One bid, highest bid. What else?
Yeah. The second, they have to open up the number of people who can actually purchase non-performing loans. So this is something that I've been pushing for a very long time. RBI had actually put out a consultative paper.
Yes.
They must commit, stressed assets funds to purchase non-performing loans.
Yes.
That will open up the market, because today when they sell the non-performing loans, the only buyers are ARCs, and ARCs don't have adequate capital yet.
Okay. Point taken. Mr. Bansal, similar question to you. You spoke about the banks and the NCLTs. You don't have control over the NCLAT tribunals or the NCLT tribunals, nor even bankers if they do to and fro. What can be fixed in terms of rules?
I think 3-4 things. What Srini is saying in addition to that, I am just mentioning. So process has to be transparent, and I agree that we should not allow too many people. Later on. I will also suggest that we should allow this pre-pack to come fast with some relaxation in section 29A.
Okay.
If we are going to come with pre-pack with 29A, then it is not going to work.
Oh, right.
So I think pre-pack can be, again, expedite the process. Judiciary has to be told, perhaps they have to start avoiding all these frivolous applications. We are waiting for many cases to get admitted also, even for more than a year.
Yep.
So I think this has to stop. So the process will take over once the stock of these old MP is over. It will be smooth, and IBC will succeed when people don't really go to IBC and try to settle just because of threat.
Pre-packs. Okay, point taken. Mr. Bansal and Srini, thank you very much for joining us. Just for those of you
Thank
who
you.
don't follow the IBC process much, pre-pack is a new measure. Ritu has spoken extensively about it. That you have a pre-decided package for resolution, and you just pass it through the NCLT so that there is just one round and it is, passed, so that nobody is worried about investigations later. That should speed up the NCLT process. Instead of 180 days and 270 days, one sitting and it is done in the NCLT. And as Srini and Mr. Bansal are saying, just allow one round of bids and that's it. Don't reopen bids. That should help. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And we have to shift our focus back to the market simply because now the red has gotten a bit redder, especially for the Nifty Bank. Mitesh Thakkar.